Hello, I'm going to try again to videotape making tortillas or flatbread or a wrap, however you want to use it. And what's the difference? Just the thickness, that's it. So this is just a simple recipe. You can make it really thick and make it a pizza crust. You can make it a kind of thick, and that would be a gordita, just a thick flat bread or fry bread that you can have as a side for dinner. My husband really likes that. He's gotten into that habit. Or you can do it thin and use it as a wrap, or even thinner and use it as a tortilla for a burrito or a taco. And the only difference is how thick you roll it, okay? So this is the simplest recipe, and this is the way I learned to make tortillas 500 years ago. And I can't understand why commercial tortillas have oil in them, because I was never taught to put oil in my tortilla mix, okay? And I like I said, I learned to do this way back. So you can vary your flours, and the one that I showed you last week that I made and I used in a wrap, and that was in my what I eat in a day video, that one was just whole wheat flour and flaxseed. Today I'm going to use half white flour and half whole wheat flour. Let's see if we can get the glare off there so that you can see it. And it's 3 cups of flour total. So I've got 1.5 cups of white and 1.5 of wheat. Use all white, use all wheat, use oat, whatever you want your wrap to be made of, put that in there, okay? 3 cups. And then because I'm using 2 different flours, I'm gonna mix that around real good. And the amount of water that you use is going to just depend on the consistency of your flour. So I am just going to give you a general guideline, and then you will adjust based on the consistency. And I'm slinging flour everywhere because, you know, we have to offer something up to the kitchen gods. So there we are. Now you are going to use 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and only 1 teaspoon. And I've seen recipes that add more than that. And to me, it gives it a very acidic flavor. I can taste the baking soda in there. So I don't advise going over 1 teaspoon. And as you can see, I have got a pan heating up on the stove. This is a nonstick pan. It's not a real good pan. It's been scratched a couple times because it's really old. So you don't need any special cookware to cook tortillas oil-free. You really don't. And then I like to add some of my ground flax seeds, and I would say about a teaspoon, just because I like to give it, that special oomph that says this is homemade and it's special. And I do this to add the omega-3s in as much things that I possibly can, because I feel like my husband just doesn't seem to get enough. And so I try to add them whenever I can. So putting some ground flax in something like this, you can barely tell it's there, but you can tell it's there because you can see it. And so it makes it have that illusion of having a specialty bread, I guess you would say. And then I start with 1 cup, actually a little more, just barely over the 1 cup mark. But I start with basically 1 cup of just tap water, warm, not real cold, but not hot either. Just let the water run for a little bit. And that's where I start. Now, as you see, I've got my kettle on the stove and it's got water in it. In case I need to grab a little bit more, I've just got that handy. Always got water in the kettle. And then just mix it as good as you can. And you want it to be a dough. Not too wet, because you may want to roll this out. Now that's up to you, whether you want to use your hands to shape it or you want to roll it with a rolling pin. So you don't want it too wet, but you want it wet enough that it's not going to be just flour falling off. And I am going to take my rings off and get my hands in here a bit to get the rest of that flour really mixed in there. You're going to need a little bit of elbow grease in there. I always say elbow grease is a healthy fat. And then just work it so that it's a nice dough, a nice consistency. And see there, that cup was just barely, barely over the top of the 1 cup mark, and that was enough. And I have used as much as 1.5 cups. It just, like I said, depends on your flour. But you don't want it too wet. Now I'm not going to use these for wraps. I'm going to use these for dinner. So I am just doing this with my hands. I'm making like a fry bread. But if you want that to be a nice tortilla, get out your rolling pin and just dust your surface with some flour. And then just roll it out. And I don't want it too thin. I want my husband to be able to use this as a side for his dinner. It's more a fry bread tonight, but it's the same concept. And if you need to, dust your hands with a bit of flour so that it doesn't stick. And I've got a thing of flour over here on the side. And the flour is what keeps it from sticking on your pan. Don't need any oil. See how I'm just doing that? I'm just putting it there to cook. Let me grab a spatula. It would have been nice to have that handy. And then you're just going to see how it's not sticking. No oil on there. Didn't need it. And I'm just going to let those cook until they are done on both sides, nice and brown. They might puff up a little, but at this thickness, not a whole lot. And I'll just keep working my dough to get my next ones. And I'm just grabbing flour from the side here. Ever heard of Apache fry bread? It does have oil. They fry it in oil on the pan, but other than that, it's the same recipe. Made with white flour. And you just want that pan good and hot. And I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me cook these up because this video's gone long enough and y'all get bored with me. I'll put a picture at the end to show you how they look. Nice and golden brown. Have a good day, guys. Be sure and like and subscribe, okay?